What is the cheapest electric vehicle? Well, today's video we're going to be looking at what that actually means. Is it the cheapest per kilowatt hour of battery, the cheapest 2-year lease, or is it the cheapest pound per mile of range you're going to get out of that electric vehicle? And at the end we're going to be showing you a spreadsheet that you can use to compare any two electric vehicles that you may be looking at to your particular circumstances, be that the 2-year lease or the cheapest per kilowatt hour of battery or range. And we'll be looking at expert opinions on what you can really get out of some of these electric vehicles today. I've set a couple of rules for this video basically to make sure we can compare against a fair set of cars. First of all these prices were found on an independent leasing website in January 2022. They're all set with 10,000 miles per annum and they're all set over a 2-year lease. The prices are total prices. That includes any deposits that you have to put down first and all the monthly payments added together. My next rule was it had to do at least 150 miles on one charge. This means that it would fit 99% of the general public buying a vehicle today. The final rule was not to use any manufacturer quoted range or WLTP figures. Instead, I used a collection of EV database cross-compared with owners and world record holder Kevin.
Hi, I'm Kevin. I currently hold 3 Guinness World Records for driving an EV from John O'Groats to Land's End, the ones you can see behind me. And one of those is for efficiency.
Now, before we start looking at the scores, why don't we look alphabetically at all the cars we'll be comparing. First of all, from Ford, we'll be looking at the Mustang standard and extended range versions. From Hyundai, we'll be looking at the Ioniq Premium, the Ioniq 5 Premium 73 wheel drive, the Kona Premium, and from Kia, we'll be looking at the e-Niro 2 long range, the EV6 Air 77.4, from Lexus, the UX 300e Tachyon, from Mercedes, the EQA AMG line, from Polestar, the 2 Fast Track standard range, from Renault, the Zoe GT line R135, Skoda, the Enyaq Loft, from Tesla, the Model 3 standard and long range models, from Volvo, the XC90 Recharge Plus, and from Volkswagen, the ID3 Life Pro Performance and ID4 Life Pure. Now, the first thing we look at is when we get our data over 2 years is we see that the VW ID3 is the cheapest electric vehicle over a 2-year lease with 10,000 miles per annum, closely followed by the Renault Zoe ZE50 and then followed by the Hyundai Kona. Now remember, just because the ID3 is the cheapest electric vehicle to lease over 2 years doesn't necessarily mean it's the best value. Straight away, looking at the range figures, we can see that the Renault Zoe has less range than the ID3, so we already know that the ID3 is better value than the Renault Zoe. However, as we can clearly see, the Hyundai Kona range is even better again.
I've not really driven the ID3 yet, but I've spoken to a lot of people who own them and I've had very good reports on them. I mean, personally, I drive my wife's EV and my own Hyundai Ioniq and have access to a number of Hyundai Kona electrics. And with the Hyundai Kona, I've managed to get over 5.6 miles per kilowatt hour.
One thing people always consider when buying a petrol or diesel car is what the efficiency is of that. Now, currently, as electric car owners, most people don't worry about that because electric cars are so cheap. But with increasing costs of electricity and manufacturers not paying much attention to this, maybe we should.
I don't really think manufacturers are actually spending enough time on the efficiency of the different models of electric vehicles. The one exception to that is the car I personally own, which is the Hyundai Ioniq. I'm not surprised at the position it's come in the chart because myself, I've managed to get 6.7 miles per kilowatt hour out of it. So I think Nick's estimate of 4.5 miles per kilowatt is very conservative. Because at the end of the day, with energy costs going up, the further your EV will go on a small amount of charge, the cheaper it's going to be to run.
Now, I'm almost at the part where I'm going to tell you what the best value electric vehicle battery is or the best value electric vehicle for the pound of mile that you pay. But before we get there, let's have a look at what EV can go the furthest at the moment. Now, unsurprisingly, it's got the biggest battery at 88 kilowatt hours and it's able to go 325 miles of range, which is not surprising that the Ford Mustang currently holds 3 Guinness World Records.
We picked the Mustang for the record attempt from John O'Groats to Land's End because it seemed to offer the best kind of compromise with charging speed and range. I know we can see in Nick's chart that it's 3.7 miles per kilowatt hour he's put as its efficiency, but on the record we gained over 6.5 miles per kilowatt hour, which would mean that that car would do over 500 miles to a single charge.
Now this video required a lot of work and a lot of research and a huge spreadsheet of information. We had to make sure that the leasing costs were fair because they change daily and monthly, so we tried to get a bit of a balance between all of them, and then we just decided to go with what we had on a certain day because it pretty much was the same sort of list of where they all were. We then also struggled on what car to decide on miles per kilowatt range because not everyone drives like a world record holder, not everyone drives with a lead foot, and EV Database was quoting some temperatures that were so low, they just were too low for miles per kilowatt hour. So we agreed on a fair comparison on what we thought the average driver would get in these cars achievable. We then also struggled with what is the cheapest car? Is the cheapest car the one with the biggest battery per pound that you pay? And then we also thought that no, maybe that's not fair. Maybe if the car can achieve a lot more miles per kilowatt hour and has a smaller battery but goes further, then surely that's the best value. And I thought, well, we've got both the figures, we've got both the answers. Why don't we just tell you both the answers and you can make the decision? Now, unsurprisingly, the cheapest electric vehicle based on its kilowatt hour size, battery and the price you pay over the 2-year lease was, of course, the cheapest electric vehicle, the ID3. And it came in at £189 per kilowatt hour of battery size. Now, this is quite surprisingly because Tesla always go that they are the cheapest cell manufacturer for batteries. Now, they might be the cheapest for them, which means they make the most profit, but they don't resemble that in the price that they sell their vehicles at, coming in at 10th place and £265 per kilowatt hour. Now I'm going to tell you what the best value is per mile per kilowatt of range. In other words, what I think is the best value electric vehicle, but make sure you stick around for the end of the video after we announce the winner because there's some surprising facts we learnt when compiling this list. Now here we have it, the cheapest electric vehicles per mile per pound that you spend, and that is first of all the Tesla Model 3 at 5th place, costing £66 per mile of range, meaning for every £66 you spend, you will get 1 mile of range. Coming in at number 4 then is the Renault Zoe GT line, costing 63 mile per mile of range. Then at number 3 we have the Kia e-Niro, costing £51 per mile. Then at number 2, costing slightly less than the Kia e-Niro, is the VW ID3, and then closely followed in first place is the Hyundai Kona, costing £49 per mile of range. So for every £49 you spend, you will get 1 mile of range, making it the cheapest electric vehicle for value for money in my list.
To be honest, I don't think that I'm surprised that it's going to be a Kia or Hyundai in the top of the charts. From my own personal experience, I found them very efficient. They just seem to go forever on a really small amount of charge. So the thing that has surprised me is how expensive the Lexus is. You'd almost think that they're not really committed to electric vehicles.
One thing car manufacturers are not doing, what big tech is doing, is charging you more for size. Now what I mean by that is big tech is very, very clever at selling us 3 different size things. A size iPhone with a capacity that will fill in no time, a larger capacity, and then an even larger capacity again. And usually if you look at those costs per gigabytes of space, you are being ripped off by upgrading to the larger size phones with the larger size memory because you're pretty much stuck with them. You've got no choice. So they make sure they make the most amount of profit on charging for those upgrades. However, the car industry is the other way round. Weirdly, buying a bigger battery gives you much more value for money. We see this with the Tesla Model 3 standard range and long range. There was a £45 kilowatt hour difference in the price changes towards the next battery. And the Ford Mustang, for example, is also sold in 2 battery sizes, and we saw a £260 per kilowatt hour difference by going for the bigger battery. So it's actually more cost effective to get a bigger battery. So sometimes you really do want to go large. Thank you very, very much to Kevin. Thank you very, very much to Mark for helping out with the graphics. Mark is one of the most superb video editors, videographers and cameramen in the EV market, and he just asked if he would help me out with some graphics on this video. So thank you very much to Mark. Thank you very, very much, and I'll see you again next week. Goodbye.